All right, hello and welcome everyone. We are on episode 2 of ScriptChat. It's been a little while. I wish I could say that the reason I didn't do ScriptChat was because I was doing better things, but the truth is I simply forgot about it for the past couple of weeks. Had a lot of stuff going on with the clan. But we're going to do it this week. I don't even remember what we did exactly the last time. We had Q Philip on, if I remember correctly, now that I'm thinking about it. And we looked at a couple of maps that he made and tested them out. And it was good. It was a lot of fun. So hopefully we can repeat that positive experience. So I think today we're going to talk about the return of the Rising Eagle Cup. Now Seabass has been out for a little while. Hopefully he's able to return to the Age scene soon. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to faithfully work on the maps and the concept that he's outlined. So joining me today is going to be BP Dredge. BP is a friend of mine. He's a member of the clan. And he's been helping me out with some map scripting. So I'm going to drag him into the voice channel now. All right. Hey, BP, welcome. You are on TV. Congratulations. Oh, he can't hear me. All right, BP, can you hear me now? Okay, he should be joining us any minute now. So let's look at the maps that we've got. Oh, BP, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. BP is here, boys and girls. BP has some scripting creations. So let's take a look at Seabass's notes here first. I'll show them on the screen here. So this is the plan for the map pool for the Return of the Rising Eagle Cup. This is what Seabass sent me, and we're going to try to recreate. He wants an Arabia map, an open land map, an arena, Black Forest, Regicide Fortress type map, and he gives some examples here. Another closed map, perhaps, a water map, a hybrid map, a nomad map, a chaotic map, and then just one other thing, some other map. All right, so far, we have made, and we'll show this. Get rid of these, actually, because I'm going to write which ones we've made. So the plan for Arabia is we're actually going to do something special for this, but we have not done it yet. So I'm going to put a P here. Actually, what am I doing using my mouse? I've got a real stylus I can actually use. And we'll just help kind of organize this information so you guys understand where we're coming from with this. So we have P for a plan. We have a plan for that Arabia. And that Arabia is basically going to be standard Arabia, but it's going to have some kind of eagle artwork in the middle. And of course, it will be Greek/Mediterranean themed. I'm thinking for this popular closed map example, the clan absolutely loves Arena, but I recently did a remake of Arena already, and I don't want to do another one. And a map that I think is really fun and good that does not get enough attention, and frankly, there are opportunities for this map to be remastered in a way that Arena does not have, is Regicide Fortress. So I think that we're going to go with the Regicide Fortress approach. Now, we can't program... Well, actually, we might be able to make it Regicide regardless of the situation. So you could give somebody a king, and you might be able to set up some guard state that says if they don't control a king anymore, they lose. But this arena map here is also... or this closed map is also planned. So we're going to make a Regicide Fortress version of it. It's going to be Mediterranean. It's going to have all of the, the appropriate trees and the Centurion starting scout and the ruins scattered around everywhere, like actual Greek ruins scattered around everywhere. But we're going to do things on this, like we're going to make the castle forward. Have you guys ever played on Regicide Fortress before, and like the castle and the towers are in the back of your base, and you're like, well, thanks for nothing? What good is that going to do me if I get attacked early on? The technology exists in scripting now. It's not easy, but it exists to where you can make it so that the towers and the castle and stuff like that are always forward. So when we remaster Regicide Fortress, it will boast those additional features. And it'll be one more reason that I think people will be interested in the tournament, or at least that I hope that they will. Now this one here, which we accidentally skipped, this one open land map right here, this is actually completed. So we're going to put a C here. And we're going to make that C a little bit nicer so it doesn't have a curl at the top. Oops. And this one is Lemon. And I'll show that one in just a minute here. But we've got something for that, which I'll show. Actually, you know what? I'll show it right now since we're talking about it, and then we'll bring this back and we'll keep talking about that. So we go into single player editors, create scenario. Now I originally made this because it was kind of like an opportunity where if we threaded this just right, they would have used it in Deathmatch World Cup 5. But turns out that they're not as open-minded as I was hoping. And they didn't want to use it because there was too much going on with it, which I understand. I really do. So at the same time, I had in the back of my head as I was making this, well, okay, if they don't want this, then we can use it for the Return of the Rising Eagle Cup. So basically, this map is a remastering of Prairie. You've got some water in the corners, not very much. It's rocky water too, and there's very little fish, so it's definitely not worth worth docking. It may not even be worth walking a villager out here. Probably not. To get at what, 1 to 3 shorefish at most, maybe. Yeah, this one has 3. So there's just too many other food sources. You've got extra deer. Your stone is further away from your town center. You only have 2 or 3 wood lines as opposed to 3 or 4 like traditional Arabia. And there's kind of this big open area in the middle for lots of epic land battles, but it's flat. Now on the outside, you've got some kind of like rocky patches with additional neutral resources, and it has some hills out here, but still not too many, and you could boom out here potentially. But I do expect this to be a highly aggressive map. So to be clear, this is a remastery of original Ensemble Studios map Prairie. And what's interesting about it is you get 2 of these scouts. Now these look like cataphracts, right? But of course their statistics are going to be nerfed for the tournament. So you can't have 2 cataphracts in Dark Age. It's just too much. They're too powerful. There's too much of a chance that they could get in there and like snipe an enemy villager or something. So they'll have the statistics of a Dark Age scout approximately, decreasing their attack and hit points, etc. But actually, when we went to test this the other day, they had their original statistics back because the latest patch of the game introduced a bug where these units are no longer nerfed properly. They went back to being cataphracts. So that was pretty annoying. And then one guy on the team abused it and used it to kill 4 villagers from the lowest elo guy on the other team. So we're just like, all right, well, screw this. So we didn't get any valuable information out of that. So hopefully that bug will be resolved soon. Other scripters have had issues with that. That bug will be resolved soon, and we'll be able to test this again. So note the 2 deer patches. You also have 2 berries underneath your town center. Food situation is a little bit tight on this, so I think it'll be kind of tricky. Players will have to be careful, very precise about their build orders, and make sure that maybe they push in one group of deer and then mill the other. Maybe mill the back deer and push in the front deer or something like that. So like imagine a mill here and players using one of their cataphracts to push in the other group of deer. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this played out in a competitive setting. The tournament is 1v1, but of course, like all Tech Chariot maps, we could accommodate 8 players on a large map size. So as long as you have an appropriate map size for an appropriate number of players, it should all work out quite nicely. So but similar idea, right? Beach or a small amount of water in the corners. Let me show you guys original ES Prairie, just so you get an idea of like the massive overhaul. Oh, by the way, before we go, look at this. So this, according to the game, this Indian carved piece of sandstone is the same thing as a statue column. Like in the game logic, this object is lumped into the same group as Greek architecture columns, which is hugely inappropriate. This is clearly not designed to support the weight of something. This is a totem pole, a decorative totem. These columns originally were intended to support the weight of something. So they really need to fix that, because we've got all kinds of ugly sandstone totems across the map. Let me see if I can find another example. But got some Greek ruins, of course. Thankfully, they don't appear in too many places. They're just the frontier area. So thoughts, BP, are you looking forward to trying this map out? Seeing it in the tournament? Hopefully it makes it in. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I like it. The small wood lines would probably be an issue for me. I could easily get pushed off that if I tried it.
Oh, over chopped, you mean? Or just lack of archers?
Just the archers shooting over it. Otherwise, I like how aggressive it could be.
So it looks like this guy's wood lines merged into one. That can happen. It's two wood lines that have also merged into one. But anyway, so you guys get the idea. So original prairies actually did not have any player assigned wood lines. And let me show you that now. So prairie, 2 players, and the map, 2-player map size, 2 players right here. So this is the original prairie. Somebody might have a pond here. There's another just big splotch of water here. So it's far, far less fair. Completely flat. More like neutral animals, wolves, boars, etc. So that is something that I considered adding into the other custom prairie, if you will. But I decided against the boars just because I want people to be able to send villagers out. Actually, there might be wolves on the other prairie. I don't remember. But they would be in the center portion. But anyway, so you get the idea. It looks dramatically different from the Greek prairie version. And the woodlines are just kind of scattered around. They are a little bit bigger in this version, though. Okay. So let's go back to our limon. Yeah, I don't actually see any wolves in this. I don't think I added any wolves. It's alright, that could be a discussion that we have. Should this map have wolves? Or should it not have wolves? The great questions of our age. Alright, well, they don't have wolves right now. So, but we can easily add them. So you guys have seen Limon. See if I can write it a little bit nicer. And it is complete. Like I said, you could literally play it right now. Okay, so one other closed map, maybe Hill Fort, Hideout, Oasis, etc. So this is also complete. And for this one, we have Group Sona. And I'll show you guys that one. This is the one that I've done most recently. And once I show that to you, you'll instantly recognize the choice here. Kripsana. Bam. So I'm sure it's immediately obvious to everyone what this is supposed to be a representation of. This is Hideout. So you've got the two-player bases. They extend into the center a little bit. And then you've got some neutral trees and relics and other resources scattered around the outside. But the resource setup, again, it's the same as traditional Hideout. You've got a gold and stone inside of your walls. And you've got a stone and a gold outside of your walls. And you have 2 boars, 3 or 4 deer, etc. Now, in this case, I made it so that all of the sheep are inside of your walls on this map. And the deer are always outside. So it's kind of a choice of whether or not you want to push the deer in or whether or not you want to scout your opponent, because you don't exactly know where he's going to be. This gap can sometimes be maybe a little bit smaller on average than Hideout. In this case, it looks a little thicker. Let me see if I can do a couple of other generations here. I guess this is a relatively smallish gap. So you can kind of choose whether or not you want to go aggressive and chop wood here and try to tower your way through. Although you're probably still not going to get through until Castle Age. So I do think for the most part we recreated those aspects of Hideout. Slightly more, people were saying on Reddit that, or a person said on Reddit, that the fact that there are more neutral wood lines out here will make trade harder. Who cares about that? I guess some people do think about that kind of thing. So it's just something to consider. However, I do think there are more neutral resources, or at least the neutral resources might be more fair because they tend to be in smaller clumps. And there is some neutral deer out here, but it's mostly berries, gold, and stone. So I'm looking forward to seeing this play out. This was actually a lot more work than I thought. Here I was just going to copy the script and change the trees on it, and ended up completely remaking the entire thing from scratch. So, what do you think, BP? Thoughts about this map?
I saw the 8-player version and it looked really good. I didn't realize until I see this tiny version that you have that ring of like no trees allowed before you get to the neutral forests.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Just regular Hideout doesn't really have neutral trees, so I guess that doesn't really matter. I just don't know how other players, if they would care about that or not. See there, yeah, it looks great there. Just in a tiny map, the mini map looks kind of weird.
Actually, in neutral Hideout, you do have, or in regular Hideout, you do have neutral trees. So if we spawn like regular Hideout here, I did copy the hills exactly from regular Hideout. I don't know if that was a mistake. They seem kind of light on the hills, but we can always change the hills later. So here's regular Hideout. You can see that there are neutral forests out here. Sometimes the forests are closer to the center like this, and sometimes they're just further away. So not as much effort was put into where these neutral forests or relics end up. On Krypsana, all of the relics and all of the additional forests, they all appear outside of this ring around the center.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I like the way it looks. What terrain or this? I can see on the mini map. You see the edge of the ring with that green line, but I can't tell with the terrain itself. Just looking at it.
Yep.
What's causing the green line?
Oh, it's just a layer of grass 3 in there that's been masked over to blend into the rest of the terrain when you see it on the map. My game just crashed, so I'm relaunching it, and we'll continue to look at it. But yeah, it's made to look seamless with terrain masking, but in terms of readability on a mini-map, you can still see the green line. And it's meant to represent an area where it's kind of almost defining 2 boundaries. Now, I did evenly distribute the neutral resources. The neutral resources don't care where that green line is, but the relics and the neutral forests do.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like the way it looks. These are coming out very nice.
All right. Let's come back. I think I had just a couple more things to say about Cryptsona. Actually, we're going to generate it on the large size again with 8 players. Again, this tournament is going to be 1v1, so we won't see this for this tournament, but I did want to point something out, and that is technically that, you know, these thicknesses are all approximately the same, which means that if green and gray are on different teams, this is all of the thickness that could be between their bases in terms of forests. Now, I have tested this extensively, and there will always be this gap between players. All players will have a gap between their bases on this size map with this number of players of approximately 4. But just note that it is technically less for this than 2-player. So it may not be the safest thing. Let's say if you're enemies with orange, to build your lumber camp right here to try to chop through, because if orange sees it, he could tower it and easily deny your wood line. But you could always build it here, or you could build it maybe even over here to try to chop through to your ally. So that could be something that we see people do in team games, like to actually build their lumber camps on the same one and chop through so that you can easily travel to your ally without going outside of the safety of your palisade walls, for however safe that is. What was the other thing I was going to say about this? So just to kind of show this a little bit more clearly, yeah, it blends right in. Like this is the layer of grass 3 right here, sort of travels along the map that it looks like it's blended in with the rest of the terrain, based on how the terrain masking is done. So it's terrain masked 1, so that the grass is actually what's underneath. And because the real grass is what's underneath, it leaves this green line because grass on the minimap looks green. So even though you might have the same types of terrains to the left or to the right of that grass 3, depending on whether or not you terrain mask 1 or terrain mask 2, it'll determine what the game considers to be on the bottom. And what's on the bottom is ultimately what's represented on the minimap. So that's how that works. So I like Hideout. It's actually one of my favorite maps. So I don't know if you can call this a custom map or not, because technically it is someone else's idea, but 100% of the code that makes this is mine. I did not copy anything from Hideout. I copied the numbers. I went in and looked at what regular Hideout had and then duplicated it in some places. But it's otherwise completely mine.
That's a lot of relics on there. Is that you intended that for 8-player, that amount of relics?
The relics are, well, let's see if we can count the number of relics. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 relics, it looks like. So there are 17 relics total for 8 players. So therefore, each player gets a little over 2 relics on average. So in a 1v1, there are famously 5 relics. So on average, each player will get 2.5 relics. So the average number of relics per player is actually less on this in the 8-player setup than it would be for just 2 players.
Mm-hmm.
It just maybe looks
in
like
normal 8-player ones, isn't it? I think it's like 1 per. I don't know exactly.
Oh, really? Maybe. I don't know. That could be something
it makes
that we look
sense
at.
to have more though. And they're fairly spread out.
It may look like there are more too because they occur in a more restricted area. They have to spawn outside of the screen line. So, but that could be something that we look at. Maybe there are too many relics. We can always nerf that. It's kind of tricky the way that the script is set up and my scripting technology. to scale according to the number of players, the relics, beyond that built-in command of set scaling to map size or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if absolutely necessary, it's probably possible it could be done.
Yeah,
Again,
and it doesn't really matter for the 1v1
yeah, that's
form.
true. It doesn't affect the 1v1. So that's what we've got so far in terms of progress for the other closed map, Krupsona. My stylus go. Here we are. So then we need a water map, and this is planned. I haven't made anything for this yet. A hybrid map, like 4 lakes or something, Mediterranean, Kawasan. This is also planned. A nomad map, which I haven't done anything with, so that is also planned. And a chaotic map, like Chaos Pit, Socotra, Mega Random, that's also planned. And then another land map, also planned. So those two are the only completed maps that I have to show for today. I was working on a lighthouse map called Pharos, and some of you may have heard of it, and some of you, in fact, may have seen me working on it in previous weeks. I haven't worked on it anymore, and that is because I'm going to overhaul my land creation tool. So a lot of these maps, like Limona and Krupsona, do not require seriously advanced land generation techniques. I ended up using my land generation technology on both of them, programs that I had written to automatically write hundreds of lands to the script, because it resulted in a nicer looking script than if I had just, like this circle, for instance. This circle was ultimately indirectly created with circular lands, right? This isn't something that you could do. You couldn't tell terrains to do something like this. This has to be done in the land generation section. So ultimately, this circle was created using a circular pattern of lands. So anyway, I started doing that for Pharos, and I decided that I wasn't really happy with how it was coming out. I can make basically anything. You take a picture of something, if you can draw it, I can make it. The challenge is to make it look like organic and random, because that's what people come to expect out of random map scripts. So I would like to build additional features into my scripting engine that allow it to have, in some places where you specify within a certain range, more organic shapes and masses. And I wanted to do this for some islands, some localized islands on Pharos. Hey, Don John Lennon. Hey, welcome. Wanted to have some localized islands on Pharos, but in order to do that, I basically need to do it on a large scale, to do it like in a successful manner. I could always cob it together by hand manually in the script, but it's not going to be as neat, clean, and most importantly, it's not going to be as brute force. Because basically the way that the technology works is it goes and it puts basically a square of land down in a specific spot. And I can bake it in so that there's like a random chance that the land it was supposed to put here is actually placed over here instead. I can do that, but every time I do, I have to include both sets of instructions. And the game, the scripting engine is told, okay, there's a 50% chance to choose over here, and there's a 50% chance to choose over here. And because I need the information of both of those options programmed into the DNA of the script becomes twice as large, because there are twice as many possibilities that it has to be prepared to make. So with the update that I hope to make to my scripting technology, what I would do is I would specify a big box like this, and then I would tell the program to choose a point within that box and make a smaller box, which it can do very easily and very cheaply. because that's kind of what it was designed to do. But imagine being able to make hundreds of these big boxes and then sort of statistically program in, okay, I want these different shapes in these different boxes that I'm specifying. It would take up the same amount of space that my scripts currently take up, but it would look organic, completely random, and it would be random entirely. So that's what we're kind of working on the side, and that's why I put Pharos on the side, is because I want to make Pharos look amazing, like as good as possible. It's going to be the star of the show, is the plan. But we're going to get a lot of these other kind of simpler concepts out of the way. The ones that are basically, if I wanted to, you guys, I could have taken 4 hours yesterday and I could have gone through and I could have searched for all instances of forest or woodies or whatever it's called in the Hideout script. And I could have replaced just all the forests in the Hideout script with just Mediterranean style forests, right? And I could have added a couple lines that would sprinkle the columns and the ruins and that sort of thing all across the map. And I could have changed the scout out with a cataphract. I could have made it a 4-hour job. But fundamentally, I looked at it and I said, we can improve upon this existing map already. And so that's what I did. And I'm going to do the same thing for the remainder of the maps that I touch, because everything that I touch has to be perfect. So anyway, that's why we haven't done Pharos yet, and we're doing a lot of these other maps first. We want to get a working map pool ready. Where are we here? So not that, but this. So we kind of had, in this hybrid map, we kind of had Pharos planned, but I've actually got a working example of 5 lakes, not 4 lakes, 5 lakes. And it was a tutorial that I made a few weeks ago. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to repurpose that. Pharos. And we will include that as a possibility for Seabass to consider. And then hopefully, if I've got the time, we can finish up Pharos. So the goal is to get the working map pool with everything, including really including this Arabia too, I guess. Arabia is not going to be too hard. Arabia is known for its lack of lands. It's not so much lands, but the lack of lands. So we'll put the Aquila or something like that in the middle for Arabia. It's basically going to be an Arabia map, but instead of having nothing in the middle, we're going to use random map scripting to put an eagle in the middle, like the silhouette of an eagle or something. It'll be pretty cool, I think. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the remainder of these simple map concepts, and then I will rework my my land generation tool so that we can make some of these more exotic, advanced maps look more random, and then I'll do Pharos immediately, because this is the one that Seabass is excited about. Pharos. Hey, Ja is here. Welcome, Ja. All right. So what are your thoughts, BP?
I'm liking the sounds of it, and definitely have a good setup for the Mediterranean look on these 2 maps you've done. And I saw the prototype of Pharos when it was just called Lighthouse Map. And I'm excited to see how that turns out. But I understand what you're saying, trying to make it as perfect as you can.
Okay.
So otherwise, I think we need Arabia. You have a plan for that. So we're looking at 1 water map, 1 nomad, 1 chaotic, and 1 other.
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha.
The question is which one should I do next? Thinking I could make like a Mediterranean version of Socotra. I mean, the water map is obvious, right? Islands, the Greek islands, like Greece is known for its islands. So, hey, Chris, welcome. So, we've got a lot of concepts here, and if you want any of these, let me know. I'm considering whether or not you can maybe there'd be an opportunity for overlap between the Nomad map that Seabass wants for this Return of the Rising Eagle Cup and the one that you're making with Paradox. So that's something to consider. The 9 villager start. It's lots of villagers.
Yeah, I don't know if
So
he's responded on your proposal yet. I didn't see. But yeah, I mean, that's an extremely simple script. Took me maybe an hour and a half to write up. I didn't even generate anything till it was mostly done because I knew it was all going to be fine. Mostly copying over or looking at the Nomad script that's in game and doing most of that, but then leaving out all the complicated extra stuff. But yeah, I can easily just transform it into Mediterranean style like you have here. We could add the aesthetics, the ruins, the rocks. We can think of anything else we may want to do. And if Seabass is down for it, we can try to do the ox cart thing. That's up to him.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the perfect segue, actually, into some of your projects. Would you like to, assuming that nobody has anything more to discuss about the status of this map pool and where we're at with the Greek themed maps, you could share your screen here, and I will share that on stream, and we could talk about the Nomad map that you're working on, and discuss, let the folks know what's going on with that, and then we could move on to some of your other creations if you would like.
Sure.
All right, perfect.
Let me see. I have it in game. Let me pull it up real quick.
Excellent.
All right. It should be there.
Okay, let's bring this up. We will go full screen on this. All right, so this is the idea then, you guys. For those of you who don't know, this is actually an idea that Nomad enthusiast Paradox303 had, and he posted it to the Random Map Scripting server, and of course, like the go-getters we are, the Veerdarks community said, we got your back on this one. So basically, he loves Nomad. The thing about Nomad, though, is, and it's gotten better over time, Nomad is a slow map. It's really that simple. You guys remember the days when Nomad was like, you didn't even have Nomad resources, and you only started with 200 wood, and you'd have to build a lumber camp first before you could build your town center? Well, since then it was expanded, you've got an option you can program into a random map script now that specifies in the condition that this is actually a Nomad map, or you could basically say set Nomad resources if you know that the map is going to be Nomad, and it gives you 475 wood and 300 stone instead of 200 and 100 respectively, or 200 and 200 respectively, and that enables you to build a town center and then start out with your traditional resources. So what Paradox suggested, and we like this idea, was what if you had a Nomad game or a map where you started with 9 villagers instead of 3, and you had 4 fishing ships that you started with instead of none. What would that map look like? We tried something similar for the King of Ireland tournament, where I wanted to start folks off with a fishing ship originally, and they could kind of use it to explore, get their fishing economy going. Ultimately, what we decided, because we wanted to nerf Spanish and Malians, which are common Nomad picks. But what we ended up doing instead was we ended up giving everybody plus 75 wood or something like that, so that everybody could afford that free fishing ship, and if Persians and Malians had extra wood beyond that, who cares? So BP is just showing off the map here, the different Nomad generations, but yeah, everybody gets 9 villagers. It's crazy. So you guys in chat can weigh in on what you think about this. But we did playtest a couple on Paradox's stream yesterday. I enjoyed it. The first game I got absolutely wrecked, though, because I built next to Paradox without knowing. So the second time we actually set up a treaty. Thing is, with so many villagers wandering across the map, it's essentially starting explored because you just have so much vision from all of those villagers. So, what do you think, BP?
I enjoyed. I watched, I think, 3 of the games. I don't know if there were any more beyond that. I had to leave, but I enjoyed it. Um, Essentially, after the chaotic start for everybody, it was a normal Nomad game, so you just had a quicker start to it. And I had discussed with Paradox in our direct messages that I enjoyed it. The idea of it, it's like Empire Wars basically, or that tournament where it wasn't Empire Wars, but everybody started with 8 or 9 vills in Dark Age just to quicken the pace. And I like that idea because most games I'll just skip through Dark Age because it's always basically the same thing unless somebody loses a vill to a boar
Mm-hmm.
or there's a drush. There's not really anything going on. So I like this idea that he had, getting it to quicken the pace a bit, but it was very chaotic. And like you said, what for those that did or those that know their idle villager hotkey, select all. I just saw them select that, click one area, and you just see all the villagers start beelining towards that spot, and they're just slowly exploring basically the whole island. And then they'll do the same with their fishing ships because I have them fairly spread out. So they'll be any corner of the map and they'll all converge onto one spot. And like you said, that will explore like 40% of the map in Dark Age already. But it's still cool to see, and it's ultimately up to him if he wants to change any of that. But
Mm-hmm.
I was glad that we were able to get the fishing ships to work. We keep them spread out so they stay away from these inner lakes. They'll only spawn on the outer edge of the map. All the villagers will always spawn. Everybody has equal starts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was cool to see. But otherwise, it is ultimately just a standard Nomad map. You just have a lot to start with.
Yep. I see you added the berries back in, which was good.
Yeah, I did.
I don't understand the situation where the berries would have gotten removed, but maybe you suppressed them so that you could see other things or other whatever
No,
else was going on.
I literally just forgot to put them in.
Uh-huh.
I had done everything, and then
Oh, okay.
actually the script on the standard Nomad script didn't have. Well, yeah, mine's messed up on here for some reason. I had to look at the other one. It didn't have forage mentioned anywhere, so I think it was hidden in one of those DRS files. That's why I forgot about it when I was making mine, because I was otherwise looking at everything from that script to make sure it looks the same on here.
Yeah, like generating objects.inc, whatever that means.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm pretty sure the forage and shorefish were in there. Shorefish, I obviously remember that was pretty easy, but the berries I did forget. But that's all good now, and I have your treaty script in there, which I guess we'll see sometime on how that plays out.
Yeah. So regarding the treaty, just for in case the folks in chat are wondering what that means, one of the things that we suggested to Paradox was that you could actually force a nomad treaty depending on certain conditions that are met. So in the case of the code which I sent you, I don't know if you copied it exactly. It sounded like you did. Which basically, if you have 6 or more players, it forces a nomad treaty because there's so much stuff going on. Your chances of walking under an enemy town center become a lot greater when there are 6 to 8 town centers than opposed to just 2. Actually, 1 enemy town center versus 5 to 7 enemy town centers. But I think this is coming from the place where Microsoft might be they might be aware of the statistics of the game, right? They're going to know about the strengths and weaknesses of their own game. And let's face it, I think a weakness of Age of Empires that a lot of people have known for a long time is that it can take a little while to get started. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's boring in the Dark Age, because people still play, right? And there's still stuff to do in the Dark Age. There's arguably the most micro in the game occurs in Dark Age when you're luring boars and pushing deers and etc. and exploring the map, right? And where if you have one slip up in Dark Age and you lose a villager, by minute 5, it's a bigger deal than if you lose a villager by minute 50. So there's I'm not saying that the game is boring in Dark Age. I don't think that it is, but it's boring to watch in Dark Age, and I think that's pretty universally accepted. So the reason that you see such a high prize pool for for Empire Wars tournaments like Red Bull Woolaloo is because Microsoft wants to promote talent and players and hype up interest over games that don't have a Dark Age, that start in Feudal Age. They want to speed up the start of the game. And so if you can make a Nomad map that has a faster start, you will be at a competitive advantage to tournaments if you're competing for, let's say, Microsoft funding, and you've got some tournament that you want to do. If your tournament has a faster start associated with it, and more people are likely to stay and watch your thing and not click away during Dark Age because it's boring, you will be more likely to get sponsorship from Microsoft for your tournament. I think that's how Paradox is looking at it, and it's very logical. It's smart. If you can take what's worked about Empire Wars and you can translate it into Nomad somehow, if you're a Nomad guy and that's what you do and that's what you're known for, you can take what worked about Empire Wars and bring it into Nomad, then that could be very good for you. It could be very successful in that. So I think that's where he is coming from. I personally don't enjoy Empire Wars very much. I think it's too fast, at least for me as a player, although it might be more fun to watch in the beginning of the game than a traditional random map. But anyway, so that's just my take on it. What are your thoughts about it, BP, about the political situation behind tournaments and Nomad and Empire Wars?
I think you pretty much mentioned all there is to it. Yeah, people want to see a quicker start, a little more. It's exactly like you said. Maybe it's intense and interesting to the players that are in the Dark Age that are doing all of it, but for the people watching, they don't really care. Any game, the initial map setup or initial strategy that's pretty much the same for every player. I can understand the audience not caring about that, but again, like you said, Empire Wars gets to the point where it's like instantly, all right, archery range or stable down and attack the enemy right away. And if you're not on top of that, then they're going to get the advantage over you. So that creates just a whole different kind of dilemma that for me, I don't care that much either way. It's just whatever the audience will go for and whatever the sponsors will pay for.
So
But it
John is
seems to have
saying
a good audience.
Empire Wars is boring to me. It's always just scout or archers. There's no Drescher. There's no greedy FC. It's true. There are fewer strategy options in Empire Wars than there are in traditional random map. Those strategies are executed faster. They're faster, and they might be more exciting to watch from just a raw things that are happening on the screen. The casters have more to talk about, but the variety that casters have to talk about is less. So they might have the same number of words, but the same number of words are describing a fewer number of situations.
Yes. And I could say personally, very hot take, I hate Feudal Wars. It's so boring to me. And I understand people don't like fast castles. That's why a lot of people don't like Arena. But literally, Castle Age is where things start getting interesting. Feudal Age, every civ is the same unless they have some very specific military or eco-ness. It's otherwise every civ has the same 4 units they're going to use. I don't want to watch drawn out Feudal Age warfare, and Empire Wars can make that go for a little while. I definitely prefer a little more strategy into it and then watching Castle Age warfare.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I say that, and you just watch the pro scene. Castle Age warfare just comes out to be knights and crossbows, but that's a different argument.
So one of the things that I suggested to Paradox, and I hope that he takes me up on this, that he's interested in this, is actually the concept of cascading blood units. And basically what that means is that you can duplicate stuff. So let me see if I can show this, if you will, in the stream here. I've got another video on cascading blood units that you can find on my channel. It's literally called Cascading Blood Units, a new way to duplicate in RMS. So let's go full screen here, and we'll hit play. And this is a clip from Otisco. You can see. So we've got this ox wagon. You delete it, and it spawns a water buffalo and 3 villagers. And then bam, you've got your starting units. So this is something that I suggested to Paradox. You might be able to have 3 of these ox wagons on a Nomad map that, when deleted, give the 3 villagers and the water buffalo. That would bring you up to 9 villagers total. And as long as you don't delete them at the same time, or care that the AI is not smart enough to delete them, then you won't be defeated at the start of the game. You could customize the ox wagons to move faster across the map so that you could get your villagers to where they needed to be and get started with your economy faster. You could give them 1,000 HP so that they're invulnerable to town center arrow fire in the Dark Age. And you could adjust their vision so that they don't explore too much of the map. And we'll see what he says about it. But I think it could be like a fun concept to do like a caravan nomad type competition, where maybe you've got some classic nomad maps that start out with an ox wagon or 2, and you delete them to get your starting villagers. It's not as intuitive, but this map is just so crowded and hectic that maybe if you want the best of both worlds, if you want to get that large number of villagers to start out with to get a game going faster, but you don't want to have to deal with losing villagers to town centers that have already been erected, because the chances are much greater of walking through an enemy town center when you have that many villagers. Could be a worthwhile thing to try. So
yeah, I think so.
We'll see what he says. If he doesn't do it, we will. We'll do it in some way, and then we'll just have an even more successful show match or competition off of it. Because I do think it's the better solution. But it's hard to weigh the value of something subjective like intuitiveness, and it might just come down to people's preferences. But if you had some show match or some tournament where it was known that you needed to delete your starting units in order to get your villagers at the start of the game, I think that wouldn't be too bad.
No, I agree. I think that would be fine. You always have to walk the fine line of people's opinions and the audience opinions, and you just don't know who the majority is. Like if they just want to see standard gameplay, or if they think standard gameplay is boring, you just don't really know who's going to say what.
For the King of Ireland tournament, we did a lot of like try to bake something into the maps that captures the spirit or the history of that area. And there were lots of small rules. There was gold drains, there were yurts draining your gold, there were Gaia monks that would convert you if you got too close. There were trade workshops that you could capture to give you an income of wood, etc. Like the maps were not intuitive at all. You had to go through and you had to read about them first, and you had to remember those details. And people don't like to read, and I get that. And that might have been part of the reason why the tournament did not have as many participants, or why it took people so long to play, is because they had to read about the maps first. But that's a pretty simple rule. And if worst comes to worst, if somebody does enter the tournament, let's say a caravan nomad tournament, and they know nothing about how to get their starting villagers, they could just say in chat, "Hey man, I can't unpack my ox wagon. What's going on? Do we have to re?" The opponent could just say, "Just delete your ox wagon." And like it's something that you could figure out in game if you really had to.
Yeah, trying to keep it as simple as possible makes sense.
So anyway, that was my idea for it. We'll see if he moves on it. If he doesn't, we'll do our own thing, and I think it'll be successful. What else you got, BP?
Other than this, I haven't worked on anything more recently besides the space map I showed you. Do you
Oh
want me to
yeah,
show that off?
sure, yeah. Why not?
Oh
You
wait,
did end up
it's
getting the.
it's about to mess up probably.
It's
Yeah,
only it only works on ludicrous size, you guys.
correct.
Say hello to a 6-hour game.
So I implemented the same thing. Um, it is a nomad game, no fishing ships, but I think there's around 9 villagers, and you helped me get them to all spawn properly. So
Okay.
originally, not all of them were spawning, but now it should work fine. And this is definitely something we could try the ox cart thing on. Uh, since it's technically a planet, I'd rather it be a spaceship. So maybe we do a Sharkosaur style.
Oh yeah, yeah, that can definitely be done. You could have flying ox wagons. That would not be a problem at
Yeah.
all. That'd be a lot of fun. You could
So
you could convert Sharkitzer into an ox
into an ox
wagon
wagon. Yeah.
upgrade unit.
Yeah. So this is I just made for fun. We have other show match ideas for the space map pack that we've mentioned before. I don't know if you did it on your last episode. Some people from the Virid Arcs have seen it and heard the discussion. Just wanted to do this to prove to myself I could work with that mad random. I just forgot the name
Oh,
of it.
Mad Lands.
Mad Lands, yeah.
Yeah, the Mad Catter's land generation tool. There's some different
Yes,
ones out there. His is probably the
yeah.
most
There's some
commonly
different
used
ones.
though because he published it.
Yep. So there's 10 different configurations of rings. I have the generations of shallow rings, and then it just fills in desert land in between. And it's hard to tell once I started putting forests and objects on here. It doesn't look good on the mini map. It's very cluttered and ugly look. But somebody streaming or casting on Capture Age would probably be able to zoom out and see the idea behind it. And maybe if you want to pull up a picture of this planet, this is what it's actually called. Though if we decide to use it, we can give it something more intuitive of a name.
J1407B.
Yes. So that's the basis of it. It's a distant super Saturn planet that I don't know the exact size compared to planets in our solar system, but the rings on it are absolutely massive. And
Wow.
so that was the idea behind it I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's why I made it ludicrous, just to emphasize how big it is. But that's just for fun. It definitely doesn't have to be used if people don't want to. It was just completely for fun.
So you're saying it's not intended for competition?
No. If we wanted to do some little show match on it, we could. But yeah, you got the pictures there. That's the idea.
Zcirc says it would be cool to call the map Saturn instead of J140B. I think he's got another. I think he's got another one.
Yeah, there will be a Saturn that's basically a smaller version of this, so that will be more competitively viable. I just wanted to make this ludicrous one. But yeah, you see it on the pictures there. It's pretty. And that's the idea
P3X595.
with the space map stuff. We want to just emphasize the cool stuff you can find out there and try to translate it into a medieval field of battle.
I'm looking up P3X595 here from Ja, and it looks like it's a fictional place.
Stargate.
Oh, how very inappropriate. Jupiter with moons. It's just a random Stargate planet. I guess so. So anyway, I think we've basically done all the discussion that we want to do for now on maps that are in development. Seems like it's been pretty quiet. I haven't done ScriptChat in a couple of weeks, so it's understandable if folks are still getting back into it. This one is Nebula by BP. He's got some dead stars with all the gold on them. Or not all of the gold, but lots of gold on them. Gold is actually not from our solar system. Our sun is not large enough to make gold through nuclear fusion. Only supergiants are. So he's got the space masking over that. The DLC
Yeah, so
black
this is
terrain.
something you and I are going to work on later once Rising Eagles is done. But I had sent it to you so we could kind of uh, balance the water aspect of it so ships aren't so oppressive. And I did change it so you can dock just about anywhere. You see these little spots all over the map, little dark spots. You can put a dock there.
Nice.
But we want to actually just turn this into a bunch of small lands with tiny winding rivers, possibly, but make it more land intuitive instead of just oppressive water.
Yep.
But we still want to try to maintain the space aspect of it.
Zerg says, everything larger than iron was made in a supernova. Exactly, Zerg.
Yeah.
He knows. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't really messed with any other maps lately, but
all right. So
we'll probably get to work more on the Return of the Rising Eagle stuff.
So we're closing in on the 1 hour mark here for the show. It's going to be, like I said, it's intended to be a weekly broadcast, if you will, around this time on every Sunday. Do we have anybody that's interested in testing some of these maps that we've shown off today? Because if we do, I would love to make that happen. We'd love to either cast it or stream my point of view, depending on who's available and what their skill levels are and how many people are available, etc. Let me know now that we've got a chat. We've got people in chat. If nobody is down, if nobody's looking to play or wants to play right now, then we will end the stream here, and we'll probably maybe start another team game stream or something like that. Zerg would play. All right, well, we need somebody around Zerg's skill level. You know what? Let's do Zerg against BP. It's not too far off, right, BP? Where are you at? You're around 1K?
Probably.
All right, Zerg, do you think that you could survive against BP? For a 1v1, yeah. You could try out one of you it would be your choice. You could pick one of these maps and try it out against BP. Zerg isn't sure. That's fine. If I lose, it doesn't matter. That's a good way of looking at it.
If he doesn't want to, we can try to see
fine.
if we want to get some team games going or something.
Let's exit the full screen. Close that down. So your choices are Limon, Cripsana. You could do Nomad 9. Could try that out. So we've got lots of options here. Might even be able to do Nebula. Zerg says, I'm not sure someone of my skill level would give much useful information. I don't know. It is true that the higher ranked players tend to think of more things and do more stuff. But that doesn't mean that you can't make a contribution or an impact, even if you're considered a low elo legend.
I'd say what I'd be down for, if we get some more people, we play an 8-player Cripsona.
That would be a lot of fun. Oh, Zerg is in the assembly hall. Hey, Zerg, welcome.
Hello.
So what do you want? You want to try one of these out against BP? We could even give you a little bit of handicap if you want. BP is around 1K.
Handicap.
You don't. Oh, right. That's right. You were insulted by handicap. I'm sorry, Zerg. I did not mean to offend you.
You didn't. All right. I'm ready whenever.
Okay.
One.
What do you want to play?
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to you. What does BP want to play?
I'll throw out Cryptsona.
All right, that would be a lot of fun, actually. I think that'd be good because it would be like, it'd be a more closed map, so it'd be easier for someone to compensate for a high elo difference, perhaps.
Does sound nice. Could I see the map before we start it?
I'm streaming it.
Oh, okay. That's the map.
Yep.
Sure. Okay.
2-player would look like this. One sec.
Invite to lobby.
So do either of you have this map available?
I think I have it downloaded. Let's
Okay.
see.
So this is what it's going to look like 2-player. There is one thing that I would ask, though, and that is that the cataphract is not is bugged right now based on the latest patch of the game. So if you even wanted to, BP, you could download it and just change the Centurion to a Scout, and you guys could test it that way. It's going to be the cataphract for the main event, and it will be fixed by the main event. But if you wouldn't mind downloading this, BP, and changing the Centurion to Scout, that would be awesome. And then I'll cast your game.
Yeah, I'll do that real quick.
Perfect. All right, so we're very lucky, chat. Got some good news. Zerg and BP are going to play a 1v1 on Cryptsona. And then they're going to come back and tell us what they thought, give us some ideas about how the map could be improved, and what they liked about it already. So BP is downloading the map, and he's going to quickly change the Centurion to just a regular Scout. Just because the game currently has a bug where the modifications that I've made to nerf the Centurion are not actually done. So it basically has the statistics of a real cataphract. All right, so I'm going to be right back. I'm going to drop out of voice. Somebody could send me a message in Discord when they're ready, or maybe give me the link of the lobby. I will cast the game. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've hopped out of the voice so that we don't like give them information that they're not supposed to have, like, oh hey, look at all of these archers that BP has massed. Maybe Zerg didn't scout it, right? He shouldn't know about it. Okay, so hold on, I'll be right back. Let me refill my water, and then we'll get started here. Take a quick break. All right. I am back. Okay, looks like BP has shared the lobby ID in the server. So let's go check that out. Doesn't look like they've started yet. However, I bet if I copied this and I tried to find the lobby... Oh! Yeah. So the lobby exists for it. They haven't started yet, though. BP, he wants to play as the Dravidians, it looks like. Which is strange. The Dravidians are not really that popular right now. Have you ever heard that, like, knot in the back of your back that just makes it awkward to sleep? Ugh. I'll be all right though. Can still cast the match. This is one of those things where you can't sleep to make it go away because sleeping is why it's there somehow. I think. I don't know. Hard to describe. Okay, it looks like they still haven't started yet. So we'll go in, we'll spectate, hopefully with Capture Age. It's just a 1v1, so we should be able to spectate with Capture Age. Yep, we're all set. Let's go. Appreciate Zerg's adventuresome spirit. Hey, are you guys in game?
Yeah, we just started.
Okay. Is it private?
Free llama just sabotaged me.
Okay. Oh, where was it? I just saw it. Is your game a public game or a private game?
Should be public. You get the lobby number from looking to play.
Should we pause for you to get into the game?
Yeah, I can pause.
Oh, interesting.
You able to pull it up? I made it public. Maybe I didn't do spectators enabled.
BPD Reg.
Yeah, I mean I saw it, but it's not. Hold on. There we go. Spectate with Capture Age. All right, thanks, guys.
Yep.
So we got it selected. Did not escape from me this time. We selected Spectate with Capture Age, so Capture Age is launching, and we'll be able to see the game here. The match is not observable. All right, it said failed to observe match. The match is not observable.
The match is not observable.
So I think that means you need to enable spectators.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
we can start over then.
Sorry.
No problem.
I will remain in voice until we make sure that we're all set here.
Yeah. Okay, so public, allow spectators. There we go. Delay, none, unranked. Okay. Send the link.
I do this all the time. Set stuff up that it's intended for spectators, and then forget to check the box enable spectators.
Yeah, I've only had to do it a couple times for people, so yeah, I forget that little box too.
Okay.
All right, beginning.
Excellent.
Beginning.
This is just the beginning.
In the beginning.
There was Crupsona.
So, did Zerg go random, or did Zerg pick the Incas?
I picked.
He picked them.
All right, excellent. The free llama. Here we go.
Free llama. The strongest buff in the game.
All right, so we're loading in. Yeah, you can do all kinds of things with the free llama. You can scout with it. It's got more vision than a normal sheep, or you can just eat it immediately.
I've ate it already.
Yeah, that sounds like something you would do.
Yeah. I've never eaten a llama in real life. I feel like they would not taste good, you know?
You ever had lamb?
Yes. Super good.
Yeah, lamb isn't too bad.
I do like lamb.
All right, it looks like I'm in. I'm going to drop out of the voice. Good luck. Have fun, boys.
Sweet.
All right, so here we are. We're loading in with Capture Age now. We know that the game is working. All right, here we go. So Zerg has built a single house and is indeed eating his llama already. Where is his scout? He's got his Eagle Scout wandering around. BP replaced the Centurion with a regular scout because the Centurion is bugged right now. Very kind of him. And so now he's going to go check out the map. We're looking at Zerg's point of view at the moment. What does Zerg see? Zerg is already kind of... Oh, no, he's not. This is not a wall. He's building his lumber camp here, which is kind of an interesting lumber camp location. I would have built the lumber camp more so in here. So I don't know that I agree with that lumber camp location. Zerg scouting around. He's found some neutral stone out here. And he's found his assigned stone here, which is just outside of the vision of the palisade, which I actually kind of like. Now let's take a look at BP's point of view. So BP has built a lumber camp that's a little bit more in line with our expectations. It's closer to the center here, and he's taken his first boar in. Now he's going on to a mill. He's going to try to find Zerg. Except he doesn't know he's going the long way. This would actually have been slightly shorter. And Zerg is over here. Zerg has his sheep over here. Zerg is building a lot of houses. He's got 35 population space. Why is he building so many houses so soon? I guess he just doesn't want to get housed ever. But usually on Hideout, you use the houses to kind of like form a secondary wall in case they break through your first wall. So you have a second line of defense. But imagine if these houses were like in a row here. This side would be completely closed off, and so BP's only option would be to come in this way. And then maybe Zerg could build a market over here or something. Zerg is scouting in the Dark Age. I don't know how much longer BP is going to be in the Dark Age. The Eagle has slightly more health. In terms of Idle Town Center Time, they're similar. Zerg has slightly more than BP, but it's 10 seconds versus 7 seconds. And what's this? Oh, okay, BP is going to go mill his deer out here. If Zerg spots that, he might be able to punish it. But BP is kind of following Zerg. Maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally. Zerg is getting loom now. Even though we know for a fact that Zerg is not housed. Is Zerg's plan to click up after this? And it looks like Zerg is... Okay, he's not going to attack the hunters. Zerg is on his way to the Feudal Age, it looks like. He's advancing now. So BP has got double lumber camp. He's on 23 pop. And he is still... He's still making villagers. So it looks like BP plans to go fast castle. Is Zerg intentionally luring the deer further away from BP? He does, and now he attacks the villager. BP has no loom. Oh no! This is a disaster. Zerg could get a villager kill here. Certainly disrupting BP's hunting activities. He's got a longer distance to walk now. If you're Zerg, though, you definitely dive this villager and finish him off. BP has no loom. BP still has no loom. Zerg wants to get out of here, though, before BP gets Feudal Age, but Zerg will be Feudal Age much sooner. What's Zerg's plan? He doesn't have the food to go to the Castle Age, and it doesn't look like Zerg is on gold. Now, this map could be a little bit more forgiving. Zerg's gold is way up here, so Zerg would need to tower this. And it looks like Zerg was attacking the wall. So now BP is going to pick on this eagle a little bit. Zerg needs to come exactly directly home. Okay, Zerg is also milling his deer. They're just going to fight. Alright, and then BP Scout will win slightly because the Scout was not in Feudal Age yet. It did not have the advantage over the eagle. So BP is mining stone. Now he gave up on these deer. And BP is also in Feudal Age. So Zerg is getting horse collar. It looks like he plans to make some farms. Zerg building a mining camp very close to his gold. Kind of a Tetris-style mining camp. And he's got... BP has a scout here, but the scout is too weak to challenge these villagers. Zerg just kind of minding his time here. Okay, we got a barracks coming up for Zerg. Okay, that's interesting. Wonder what Zerg is going to build, if he's going to make some infantry to attack BP, or if the barracks is just a prerequisite building to make archers. I feel like it's not. I feel like he's going to make a range, maybe, and a blacksmith, and those are going to be his buildings. He doesn't seem to have enough on gold to really do archers. Okay, and we have a blacksmith coming up. Okay, so Zerg taking this deer. BP is just kind of scouting around now. It's all he can do. He knows the location of one relic so far. All the relics are going to be outside of this green line on the minimap. He never finished his deer up here. BP's resources. He's actually on his way to Castle Age now. Okay. And 4 villagers, so he's either planning on a castle, maybe? Looks like he's actually... What? He spent some of his stone. What did he spend stone on? He must have sold it at the market, and we simply missed it because we're pleb casters. Okay. Well, let's see. Zerg is getting wheelbarrow, and then I think Zerg intends to click up after wheelbarrow. No, he's actually got 1 villager queued. So when BP hits Castle Age, though, I don't know what he's going to do. If he's going to build lots... Oh, no. He's doing it again. He's doing it again, you guys. Building houses in front of BP's gates. This is a big investment in villager time. And it sure is annoying. Okay, so Zerg, realizing he doesn't have the buildings and is putting down an archery range. Once his archery range goes down, he can cancel a couple villagers, sell some wood, and then he should be able to click up. Zerg needs to get up as soon as possible. BP is about to be Castle Age, and that will be pretty scary. Here they come. Zerg loves to do this. Oh no, he's changed his mind. Decided it's too risky. BP is in Castle Age. Alright, come on, Zerg. Click up. He's just got to sell a little bit of resources. He's getting Town Watch. Okay. This is a much better investment of his time. Wall this off. That's smart. I like this. I mean, he was already up here. He might as well have walled it like this. But, you know, I could understand. Maybe it's a little too greedy. Okay, Zerg. Come on, click. He's got the golden hand. He could drop it off and then click up. And he does. Okay, nice. Zerg sees this scout and is like, I got a spearman just for you. Now, I don't know if BP has scouted the walls. Let's check. No, he has not. He knows that there's a mill here, but he does not know that there are walls coming up, which is really good for Zerg. BP just wants to boom on 3 town centers, it looks like. These are villagers for maybe a castle. Maybe more town centers. BP building a couple houses out here for some vision. Doesn't want an Incan castle coming up here in his face. And Zerg is going to stonewall off this side too. He does not build it all the way to the end here because he does not need to. This forest is blocking. And hopefully Zerg realizes that he can kind of push out and take more of the map when he's ready. Zerg making lots of ranged units, it looks like. And he plans to make even more, too. He's building 2 more ranges. He's building a mining camp very close to this stone, too. You should always try to space it. It's more efficient if the villagers are standing in that space in between than if the mining camp is right up next to the stone. For wood, you want the lumber camp right up next to the trees because the trees don't have much wood stored and it doesn't take the villagers long to remove that tree. But in the case of mining camps, where you've got 350 or 800 of a resource, you do want that space. So Zerg has finished his great wall here. 1800 HP on the stone walls and only 1,000 on the mill. And he decides to mill these fruit bushes and either take some deer or take some fruit. And uh-oh. Big train coming this way. Now, unfortunately for BP, Zerg should have seen it. He has a spearman here. And is Zerg going to finish this wall off in time? It doesn't look like it. BP wants to build his castle here. Actually, Zerg could finish this wall off in time if he spotted it. He could come and he could, you know, like tap each one of these palisade foundations. But BP is probably just going to walk straight around it. Oh, gate. Wait, what? He's bailing. All he had to do was walk around. He's going to build it here. So he's playing very conservatively. Guess doesn't know if Zerg has any military in here. Zerg does indeed have military, but it's not going to get to this castle in time. And Zerg just looking to finish some walling, but this castle will go up. Castles can be a great way to take map control. So the castle goes up, and now blue can make these weird, whatever the heck they are, units. So Zerg immediately dropping a siege workshop. And getting crossbowmen. Building a second town center. Oh, that's right, these Uromi swordsman dudes. Whatever the heck that is. They've got some kind of whip thing, I think. Anyway, it's super painful. It's just as bad as getting hit with a sword. Well, maybe not quite as bad, but it ignores your armor. Just like a real-life whip. Okay, and Zerg has some crossbowmen here to help out against the Urumi swordsmen. Does Zerg have the range upgrades for these? He has fletching. He needs Bodkin. Okay, and he will fight off those Urumi swordsmen. But it'll cost him all of his trash units. BP has to turn back. He's going to make a mangonel for the crossbowmen. And Zerg has... Ooh, smart. He has slingers. So he's going to need to be careful about these mangonels, though. They can be pretty damaging. Zerg has the resources for another town center. I recommend that he build one out here on this stone. Take this stone and then get a castle up. But he really wants to take this gold specifically here. This gold isn't good enough. I don't think he knows about any other golds in his enclosure. Okay, fortunately for Zerg, this mangonel is out of position. So these archers get lots of free kills. Here comes a mangonel shot, though. Zerg is going to have to be careful. Tries to micro away. That mangonel, though, has done so much damage. Zerg making a mangonel of his own. Has to give up this location. This siege workshop is going down very quickly. These Uromi swordsmen are kind of ridiculous. The mangonel itself only does 100 damage per hit, perhaps. Zerg killing the mangonel before losing his own. So he does trade for one. BP will have to make a new mangonel. And Zerg making towers. Zerg loves towers. He's making a tower, actually. Just one. These Urumi swordsmen are going to go and look for some damage now. Zerg still making slingers. Slingers are a great choice against this. He just needs something fast to kill mangonels. Maybe an eagle. Here come the elephants. Okay, those Urumi swordsmen go down. And Zerg calls the GG. Just a pretty heavy elo difference. GG, boys.
GG's, indeed.
What did you guys think?
I liked it, and I wasn't expecting. Yeah, it was basically Hideout, but I wasn't expecting. I realized after I scouted around the whole circle, basically, that between each other, and I was trying to strategize where my castle would go based on that. But we were pretty much like center of the circle each side. So, I mean, that's not a problem at all.
If you didn't tell me that wasn't Hideout, I wouldn't have known.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was like 100% exactly what Hideout was like.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was part of the challenge, was to recreate the experience of Hideout.
Oh, well, you did it perfectly, to the point where it was no different than the experience of Hideout.
Where it was not original. If Zerg had finished that wall It may have gone on a lot longer than it did. He
True.
had a few tiles left to
Possibly, yeah.
finish. He
I
I
almost
needed,
got the
had.
castle up right in time.
I needed just 2 more villagers on gold in feudal, and then I would have been able to been up to Castle Age like 5 minutes earlier or something ridiculous like that.
That's yeah. We talked about that too. Your Castle Age, the delayed Castle Age
horrible.
killed you.
Terrible cat. Yeah, my
And
Castle Age.
my build order is nothing good either. I mean, Tech probably saw I was on the brink of resources constantly and kept using the market. I don't practice enough
Well,
Oh,
to
yeah.
have the whole build order down.
having no resources in your bank is a good thing as long as it means that you're spending them.
True.
Yeah.
Um,
I
the
need to make more farms. Gold.
the the slinger play from Zerg was very good. It shredded through
Yeah.
those Urami swordsmen. But that mangonel
Good.
wrecked
Yeah,
them.
I forgot slingers existed. I was like, okay, I don't think Mezzos can do anything against Urumi, basically, but I forget that the slingers are a thing.
I
Yep.
picked Incas because of the slingers.
Nice.
I was expecting a tower rush or something cheeky from Zerg. Building towers and
No.
then building houses in front of your gates. We did see the
I
house in front of the
actually-
gate, but
Planned on building a house in front of your gate, but you went Castle Age.
too quickly.
Yep.
Yep. So
Yeah, cheese probably works well on me because I don't play enough to play properly against it.
I don't play enough to play cheese properly.
It's disappointing that they nerfed the Incas too, because the Incas had such a fun identity in Feudal Age with their tower rush and their armored
Did-
villagers, and now they're kind of bland.
Yeah.
There's enough folks whining about it on
Yeah.
Reddit or where else, but
I think the Incas' place in the meta right now is in like a counter, like they can kind of make counter units against most civs.
mm-hmm.
So like in a team game, you have a flank Inca, it makes the whole game.
Yep.
I don't know,
Yeah, they're like the Byzantines of Mesoamerica.
pretty much.
I just think they require so much gold, though. I don't think slingers should be that expensive.
So, did it take you guys too long to walk to the enemy base? Or did that seem about hideout?
I think it was a normal amount of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the generations you showed us, we could be closer, but this one we just happened to be basically dead center of the circle on either side.
Okay.
Like left side is a little bigger,
Large.
but I think it's normal hideout, like you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right. Splendid. Thanks, guys, for testing it.
Mhm.
So, with that, we're going to ask if anybody else in chat is interested in playing. You could play against me, and I'll stream my point of view. Or what preferable is if you've got an opponent, somebody who's a similar elo to you. I would love to cast that too to help test some of these maps out. So, if anybody is interested, we would absolutely love to show that off. But this is definitely a fun game for sure. If Zerg had been able to finish off this wall off, or he'd been up to the Castle Age a little bit sooner, it could have lasted a lot longer. I think Zerg could be a pretty good player with some minor tweaks. BP with almost 100 villagers at this point. He's had quite the boom. It's on 3 town centers, about to build a 4th. So the relics aren't supposed to spawn in the corners, but it can happen rarely sometimes. Thankfully, that relic is not trapped. But I spent a lot of time trying to balance these relics and get them to be approximately equal. But it does look like they favored blue this time. In fact, it does look like these relics did not really respect the flags in the corners, so that might be something to consider. These relics could have been a little bit more balanced this time. to work on that. There's like all Tech Chariot maps, or like most Tech Chariot maps, there's actually an alternate start condition. Something happened to TV Voice. So you're the only one in TV Voice, BP. So I'm not really sure what's happening. There is an alternate start condition where if you select low resources, it's actually a Nomad Start. And you don't really have these pockets anymore. It's just a big circular mass of trees in the center. I considered actually, like, see if I can show that generation, actually. I'll show you guys what that looks like. So we got Cripsona here, 2 players, put him on the other team, tiny map, and then we'll select resources low. And start the game here so you guys can see. Oh shoot, he's going to know exactly where I start. That's alright. We have cheats enabled, so he's got nothing on us. So you start with kind of like 3 villagers in one area of the map, and then we could Marco Polo this. And as you guys can see, you get extra neutral resources, like there are now 4 tiles instead of 2, and they're spaced a little bit closer together. It looks like he's going to build his town center here for whatever reason, but this is totally solid. So what I was considering on low resources is, do I want to make this hollow? It could be pretty fun to make this hollow, actually, on low resources. Like have just a separate set of commands for if low resources is configured or selected, that this becomes hollow, and you'd have to chop through. Well, yeah, except it's Nomad now. You know, you could do something like this. Not exactly like Oasis, but yeah, selecting low resources does fundamentally change the character of the script for sure. And then if this were hollow, imagine having space in here. Like maybe it's 2 or 3 tiles thick or something like that for these trees, and then you've got forests and gold and stone and other things in here. That could be a lot of fun. So anyway, it's just something that I was thinking about. I want to hear what you guys have, what thoughts you guys have about that. What should the low resources configuration of this look like? It will surely be a Nomad Start. But should we have something a little bit more interesting than just this big block of wood in the center? Let me know your thoughts. Alright, so I'm checking the server, and it doesn't look like we've got any takers for playing on any Tech Chariot map right now, or any custom map right now. So I think we are going to end the stream here, ScriptChat. It's been a good hour and 45 minutes-ish, I would say. Got a lot done, got a play test in. Really appreciate everything that the folks do to make this show possible. Recognizing that not everybody is going to be available every Sunday at this time. But hopefully once we get a rhythm going and we do enough of these, we'll eventually get folks to turn out, and we'll get plenty of playtesters, and we'll become famous and everything like that. And folks will be clamoring over each other to be on ScriptChat, and we'll help people out with their scripts too. So it'll be great. And I appreciate you guys being here for the first few episodes of it. So I'm Tech Chariot. Thank you for joining me. And hopefully we'll get some team games in soon with you guys. Maybe even later today. So thanks everybody. And I look forward to seeing you soon.